The wreck floated in the endless dark of space. Cold metal groaned and sparks flickered in the broken hulls. The great ship had once carried hundreds, but now it was silent. Silent, except for the sound of one man breathing. Daniel, a young human engineer, woke up inside the wreck. His head hurt, blood dried on his forehead, and the air smelled of burning wires. He pulled himself up. Looking around at the twisted walls and shattered lights, bodies of the crew floated weightless, their eyes open but lifeless. Daniel's heart sank. He was alone. Or at least he thought so. He stumbled through the ship, searching for working systems, searching for hope. The control panels were broken. The comms destroyed. No way to call for help. Everywhere he walked, he heard strange echoes, heavy sounds. Like breathing, he froze, thinking it was just the air system. But no, the ship was dead. Something else was alive. Daniel moved carefully, holding a broken metal pipe like a weapon. He followed the sound, step by step, through the ruined corridors. Finally, he reached the cargo bay. The massive doors creaked open, and darkness filled the space inside. From the shadows he heard it again, a deep growl, mixed with pain. Daniel's eyes widened. Chained in the center of the bay was something huge. Its body was covered in scars, its skin a strange dark silver. Eyes glowed faintly, filled with rage and sorrow. The galaxy called it the Beast. Daniel had heard the stories. This creature destroyed fleets, tore through soldiers, left nothing alive. The whole galaxy hated it, feared it, hunted it, and now here it was, trapped and wounded before him. Daniel's first thought was to run, but his legs refused to move. He saw the blood dripping from the creature's wounds, the broken chains digging into its flesh. It looked at him, and for a moment Daniel saw not a monster, but suffering. He whispered to himself, "What are you?" The beast growled, but weakly, as if the fight was leaving it. Daniel's heart pounded. Logic told him to leave, to kill it before it killed him. But another voice inside whispered something else. Help it. He remembered how the crew had spoken, how they had feared the thing in the cargo. They had called it dangerous, a curse, a death sentence. Yet here it was, barely alive. He took a step closer. The beast tensed, its glowing eyes locked on him. Daniel raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "I don't want to hurt you," he said softly. The creature's eyes followed him, studying him, waiting. The silence was heavy, only broken by the sound of its rough breathing. Daniel looked around the bay. He saw broken tools, pieces of medkits scattered on the floor. He could help, maybe stop the bleeding, maybe save it, but why should he? The galaxy would call him mad. To save the beast was to betray his own kind. Yet the thought of leaving it to die felt wrong. Daniel knelt near the chains, his voice trembling. "If I help you, will you kill me?" The beast's eyes blinked slowly. Not a yes, not a no, it groaned, a sound full of pain. Not hunger. Daniel felt a strange pull. For the first time in his life, he saw an enemy not as a monster, but as something broken. He picked up the medkit and walked closer. The beast lowered its head slightly. As if allowing him, Daniel patched one of the wounds. Hands shaking, sweat dripping from his face, the creature's breathing slowed. A sign of relief. For a moment, man and beast shared silence. The kind of silence that was not empty but alive. Daniel whispered, "I don't know why I'm doing this." He looked into the glowing eyes. "Maybe because you don't look like a beast to me." The ship groaned again, distant metal crashing somewhere deep inside. Daniel turned his head sharply, but the creature did not move. It only stared at him, waiting. The young engineer realized something. This was no prison for the beast. It was a prison for him too. Both of them were trapped here, survivors in a tomb of steel and fire. And maybe, just maybe, they needed each other. The cargo bay lights flickered once more. Shadows stretched across the walls. Daniel took a deep breath. "All right," he said. "I'll keep you alive." The beast blinked. Slowly, almost like a nod, the wreck around them creaked, as if the universe itself was listening. The galaxy had called it a beast, but Daniel was not so sure. And in the silence of the broken ship, their story began. The creature lay still in the cargo bay. Its breathing slow but heavy. Daniel sat beside it, his hand stained with its strange silver blood. The wrecked ship floated alone in the black ocean of space, its lights dying one by one. To Daniel, time felt frozen, as if the universe held its breath. He stared at the alien, the so-called beast, and wondered if he had just saved his killer. Stories from the galaxy filled his mind. Every tale painted this creature as death itself. Armies had fallen against it. Fleets had burned, entire stations lost. And now Daniel was the only human alive to stand near it without a weapon raised. Why did he help it? He asked himself again and again. He had no answer. Only a strange feeling in his chest. A whisper that told him he had done the right thing. The beast shifted, chains rattling softly, its glowing eyes opening to look at him. Daniel froze, every muscle tight, waiting for claws or teeth to strike. But nothing came. The creature simply stared, as if studying him the same way he studied it. Daniel swallowed hard, his voice shaking. I saved you. But I don't even know if you understand me. The beast blinked once, slow and heavy, almost like a sign. Daniel let out a nervous laugh. If you can understand, then maybe you know I'm the only one left here. Silence filled the bay again, broken only by the sound of the ship's weak power core humming. But silence in space never lasted. A sharp alarm echoed through the wreck. Daniel jumped to his feet, rushing to the nearest control panel. Its screen cracked and flickering. He read the message and his blood ran cold. The wreck's distress beacon had finally sent a signal. Someone was coming, but not to rescue. Scavengers, killers, men who roamed space for wrecks to strip. They would come like wolves, tearing apart the ship, taking anything of value, leaving nothing alive. Daniel turned back to the beast, panic rising. They'll kill me, he whispered, and they'll kill you too. The creature growled low, its eyes narrowing. For a moment, Daniel thought it understood. He grabbed the med kit and what little tools he could find, but then stopped. Where could he go? The ship was broken, the escape pods gone. There was only one path left, the beast. Daniel looked at it, chains digging deep into its flesh. If scavengers came and found the creature here, they would blast it apart without hesitation. But if he freed it, what then? Would it kill him? Would it leave him? Or would it remember that he was the one who kept it alive? The alarms grew louder. The ship shuddered as something docked outside. Daniel heard the clang of boots on the hull, voices shouting in a language he knew too well, scavengers armed and hungry. He rushed to the chains, hands trembling. I don't know if I'm saving myself or dooming myself, he whispered. The beast growled again, but softer this time. Daniel smashed at the locks with his metal pipe, sparks flying as the chains broke one by one. The scavengers breached the door, their flashlights cutting through the dark corridors. Daniel worked faster, sweat dripping, every second bringing death closer. Finally, the last chain snapped. The beast rose, slow but towering, its massive frame blocking the dim light of the bay. Daniel stumbled back, fear filling his chest. The scavengers' voices grew louder, closer, echoing through the halls. Please, Daniel whispered to the creature. Don't kill me. The beast turned its head. Eyes glowing brighter now, it stepped forward, its heavy claw resting gently on Daniel's shoulder. Not a strike, not a threat, but something almost like trust. Then the sound of boots filled the bay entrance, scavengers aiming their weapons. They saw Daniel and behind him the beast. Their laughter turned to shouts of rage. The beast! Kill it! Blasters fired, red light filled the cargo bay. Daniel ducked, covering his head, but he did not feel the heat of death. Instead, he heard roaring, chains snapping off. Metal bending like paper, the beast moved. Faster than Daniel thought possible. It struck the scavengers, claws ripping weapons apart, armor shattering. Screams filled the bay as men were thrown like toys. Daniel lifted his head, eyes wide in shock. The beast fought not as a mindless monster, but as a shield, keeping itself between Daniel and the attackers. When the last scavenger fell silent, the cargo bay became still again. Smoke and the smell of burning filled the air. Daniel stood trembling, staring at the creature it had spared him. Again he whispered, voice weak, Why? The beast turned its glowing eyes to him. Silent then, slowly it bent down, lowering itself so Daniel could see into its face. For the first time, Daniel did not see rage, did not see hunger. He saw something he never expected. Recognition. The galaxy called it a beast, but Daniel now knew the truth. It was no beast, it was something more, maybe even a friend. The wreck drifted no more, its cargo bay stained with fire and broken men. Daniel stood with shaking hands watching the beast. It towered over the fallen scavengers, its glowing eyes dim with exhaustion. For a long moment there was only silence, broken only by the crackle of burnt wires. Daniel whispered, You saved me again. The creature did not answer, only lowered its head for the first time. Daniel felt a bond, fragile but real. He touched his chest. Daniel, he said, voice trembling. My name is Daniel. The beast stared, then growled softly, its throat struggling to form a sound. The voice was deep, broken, but alive. Kyle! Daniel's eyes widened. The beast had spoken. Kale, that was its name, not beast, not monster, but Kale. The moment was cut short by the ship shaking violently. Daniel staggered, rushing to the broken control panel. His heart froze at the blinking signal. More scavenger ships were on the way. The distress beacon had shouted too loud, too far. Now the whole sector knew where they were. If they stayed, they would die. Daniel turned to Kale, panic in his eyes. We need a ship. Anything that still works. Kale rumbled low, then moved toward the docking bay, its heavy steps shaking the floor. Daniel followed, hoping against hope. Inside the docking bay, they found what they needed, a scavenger ship. Small but alive, its engines still warm from docking. Daniel rushed into the cockpit, his fingers flying over the cracked controls. The ship was old, ugly, but it could fly. Kale stepped inside, barely fitting. Its massive body crouched low. Daniel shouted, "Hold on!" As he hit the ignition, engines roared, the scavenger ship tore free from the wreck. Fire spitting from its thrusters as they pulled away. Daniel saw the scavenger fleet arrive. Shadows against the stars, his breath caught. "Too many," he whispered, Kale growled, placing a heavy claw against the wall, its glowing eyes narrowing. The scavenger ships locked on, lasers firing. The cockpit filled with red light as shots slammed into the hull. Daniel gritted his teeth, pulling the ship into a sharp dive. Weaving between blasts, metal screamed but held. Barely. "Come on, come on." Daniel muttered, sweat pouring down his face. Kyle roared, its voice shaking the walls. The strange energy from its body spread across the ship's panels. Lights flickering, systems stabilizing. Daniel gasped, You're helping the ship?" The beast was not just a fighter. It was something more. The scavengers chased. Their ships fast and hungry. Daniel pushed the engines harder. The stars stretched into lines as the ship hit a jump gate. The scavengers followed. The chase leapt across systems, asteroid fields and broken stations. Everywhere they went, hunters spread the news. A human was traveling with the beast. The galaxy laughed at the madness and sharpened their blades. Inside the cockpit, Daniel fought the controls. Kale's presence steadying the failing systems. They escaped one ambush, then another. But the hunters kept coming. Daniel looked at Kale, his voice low. "Why do they hate you so much?" Kale's glowing eyes dimmed, its voice rough, broken but clear enough. "Feared. Lied." It growled. "My kind. Gone." Daniel's chest tightened. Kyle was the last. Hunted, hated, betrayed, but now it was not alone. They landed briefly on a forgotten mining station. Rusted and hollow, Daniel scavenged parts. Kale kept watch for a moment. There was peace. Daniel ate a ration bar, offering one to Kale, who sniffed it and pushed it back. Daniel chuckled. Didn't think so, then. The piece shattered, alarms blaring. The station filled with hunters. They poured in like shadows, weapons ready, shouting, "The beast! Kill it and take the human alive!" Daniel's blood froze. They wanted him too. Kale stepped forward, chain still hanging loose from its body, its roar shaking the walls. The hunters fired, but Kale shielded Daniel, claws tearing through steel and fire. Daniel ran, grabbing tools, searching for a way back to the ship. Kale fought like a storm, every strike shaking the ground. But there were too many. Wave after wave, Daniel screamed, "Kale, this way!" They ran together, explosions chasing them. The station collapsing behind, they dove into their stolen ship. Engines sparking to life as they blasted free. The mining station erupted in fire. Daniel fell back in his seat, gasping, staring at Kale. "You're not a beast," he whispered. "You're my friend." Kale lowered its head, eyes glowing softer, almost warm. But as stars stretched ahead, Daniel knew the truth. The galaxy would never stop hunting them. Somewhere out there, stronger enemies were already waiting, and one of them was watching now, from the bridge of a massive warship. A fleet commander, cold and cruel, smiling as the human and the beast fled. The trap was already set. The stars burned quietly outside the cockpit, but Daniel's heart refused to rest for days. He and Kale had jumped from system to system, hiding in broken stations, drifting through asteroid fields, running from every shadow that looked like a hunter's ship. Each time they barely escaped, and each time, Daniel wondered how much longer they could survive. Kale sat in silence, its massive body hunched low in the cramped ship, eyes dim, as if remembering something Daniel could not see. Daniel rubbed his tired eyes. "We can't keep running forever," he whispered. Kyle's head lifted slowly, glowing eyes fixing on him. "Run, or fight," the voice rumbled. Deep and cracked, Daniel shook his head. Fight with what? This ship can barely hold together. Before Cale could answer, the comms sparked. A human voice broke through the static, desperate and weak. This is the transport vessel Hope's Light. We are under attack. Please, any ship, help us. Daniel froze, his chest tight. It was a human voice, a human distress call. He turned to Cale, who growled low, eyes narrowing with warning. Daniel's hands trembled over the controls. They need help, Cale. They're human. I can't just ignore this, Cale's growl deepened. Danger. Trap. Daniel bit his lip, every part of him screaming to act, to save, to protect. But Cale's warning echoed in his mind. Still, Daniel was human, and humans answered calls for help. He pulled the ship toward the signal, engines whining. Cale's claws dug into the floor, its glowing eyes never leaving him. The signal grew stronger, guiding them toward a dying station orbiting a dead moon. Lights flickered weakly on its hull. Smoke rising into the void, Daniel whispered, "Hold on, I'm coming," as he guided the ship into the docking bay. The bay doors creaked open, shadows stretching across the floor. The moment they stepped inside, the silence felt wrong, too heavy, too empty. Daniel's voice echoed, "Hello? Anyone here?" No answer. He walked forward, Cale following close, its glowing eyes cutting through the dark. Then the sound came, a soft click, then 100 more. Lights blazed on all at once, blinding Daniel. Dozens of soldiers surrounded them, weapons raised, armor gleaming. At the front stood a tall man in black command gear, his smile sharp and cruel. "Welcome, human," the commander said, his voice calm. "And welcome to your beast." Daniel's stomach dropped. Cale had been right, it was a trap. The commander's eyes locked on Daniel. "Do you even know what you're traveling with?" "That thing has slaughtered millions," Daniel shouted back. "You don't know it like I do. It's not a beast." The soldiers laughed, weapons glowing. The commander raised his hand. "Kill the creature. Spare the human. The Empire wants to know why he defends a monster." The air filled with fire, lasers streaking across the bay. Cale roared, stepping in front of Daniel, claws flashing, shields of raw energy bursting from its body. The blast struck but did not break it. Cale leapt forward, tearing through the first wave of soldiers. Their screams echoing, Daniel ran for cover, heart pounding, watching as Cale fought like a storm, claws ripping weapons apart. The commander watched calmly, not moving, as if this was only the first step of his plan. Daniel shouted, "Kyle, we have to leave." But Cale's roar drowned out his words. More soldiers poured in, endless, filling the bay like a tide. Daniel grabbed a fallen soldier's blaster, firing wildly, trying to clear a path, but it was hopeless. The station shook as Kyle unleashed its power. Eyes blazing, energy tearing through walls and steel. Soldiers fell, weapons shattered, the air thick with smoke. Daniel's ears rang from the chaos, but then he saw it. Cale's face. Not of rage, but of sorrow. It did not want to kill. It did not want to be the monster they called it. Yet it had no choice. The commander finally moved, stepping forward through the smoke, his smile unbroken. "Impressive," he said coldly. "But you cannot win. We will drown you, human and beast alike." Daniel raised the stolen blaster, aiming at him. But the commander's soldiers pushed forward again. Cale roared, slamming the ground, energy exploding outward, knocking men across the bay. The commander laughed. "Yes, show them what you are." Daniel's voice cracked as he shouted back, "It's not what you say it is." "You don't understand." The commander's eyes gleamed. "Oh, I understand perfectly, human. You have become its pet." Daniel's chest burned with anger. But before he could answer, Kyle groaned, lowering itself, chains still clinging to its body, rattling against the floor. It turned its glowing eyes to Daniel and whispered, voice heavy with grief, "Last of kind." Daniel's breath caught, his heart breaking. The trap was not only meant to kill them, it was meant to reveal the truth. Cale was the last, the very last of its people, and now, the Empire wanted to erase even that. The station shook harder. More ships docking, more soldiers flooding in. Daniel gripped the blaster tighter, standing beside Cale, his voice shaking but strong. "Then we fight together." Smoke filled the station air, burned metal and blood mixing into a bitter taste. Daniel stood beside Cale, his blaster shaking in his hands. Soldiers lay scattered across the floor, their armor cracked, their weapons broken, but more kept coming. The commander watched with cold eyes, his smile sharp. "Do you see, human? This is what your beast does." Daniel's chest tightened. Cale panted heavily, its body shaking with exhaustion, but its glowing eyes still burned. "It's not a beast. Daniel shouted, his voice cracking. It's Kyle. And it's not what you think. The commander raised a hand, signaling his troops to stop firing. Silence fell heavy in the bay. He stepped closer, boots echoing against the steel floor. Then tell me, human, if it is not a beast. What is it? Daniel turned to Kale, who lowered its head, chain still rattling from its body for the first time. Kale spoke not with a growl, but with words. Broken but clear, my kind. Gone, hunted, lied against, the commander laughed, sharp and cruel. Do you hear that? A monster with a sad story? Do not believe it, human. Its kind were weapons, destroyers, nothing else. Kale's roar shook the walls, a sound filled not with rage, but with grief. Images flashed in Daniel's mind. Memories not his own, visions Kale forced him to see. A world of silver skies and shining oceans. Tall beings like Kale walking peacefully, protecting weaker races, children laughing, stars safe. Peace guarded, then fire, fleets falling from the sky, the Empire's warships tearing their cities apart. Lies spreading across the galaxy, whispers calling them beasts. Terrors, demons, until the last of Kale's kind was hunted down and killed. One by one, Daniel stumbled back, gasping. As the vision ended, his heart ached, his throat dry. They were protectors, he whispered, and you destroyed them. The commander's smile faded, his eyes narrowing. So it told you its lies. Clever, human, but dangerous. If others believe what you believe, order will shatter. Daniel shook his head, gripping the blaster tight. The only order you care about is power. Kyle lifted its head, its voice trembling. Last, I am last. The soldiers shifted nervously, whispers running through their ranks. Some looked unsure, doubt flickering in their eyes. The commander barked, Enough! Kill the beast! Kill it now before it poisons more minds. The soldiers raised their weapons, but Daniel stepped in front of Kale, arms spread. No, you'll have to go through me, the commander sneered. Then you will die with it, blasters charged. The bay filled with the sound of death preparing to strike. Kale moved, its massive body shielding Daniel. But Daniel pushed back. No, Kale. Not this time. His voice broke but grew stronger with each word. You're not alone anymore. They can call you a beast, they can call me a traitor. But I will stand with you. Kale's eyes softened, glowing faintly for the first time. Daniel saw something in them he had never seen before. Hope, the commander roared. Fire! But the soldiers hesitated, their fingers tight on the triggers, their eyes shifting between Daniel and Kale. The vision had shaken them. Doubt poisoned their certainty. Kale seized the moment, its body glowing with raw energy, a wave bursting outward, knocking soldiers off their feet. Weapons flying across the floor, Daniel fired the blaster, covering Kale as they pushed toward the docking bay doors. Explosions rocked the station, alarms screaming. The Empire's ships circling outside like vultures. The commander shouted, Do not let them escape. But his words were drowned by the chaos. Daniel and Kale sprinted down the halls, sparks raining from the ceiling. The station's walls cracked as Kale's energy surged, doors bending and tearing apart. They reached the stolen ship. Engines already warmed from their arrival. Daniel threw himself into the cockpit, Kale forcing its massive frame inside. Hold on, Daniel shouted, slamming the ignition. Engines roared, the docking bay doors shattered, and the ship burst into open space. Enemy fighters gave chase, red lasers streaking across the void. Kale pressed its claws to the ship's walls, its glowing body sending strange energy through the systems. Shields strengthened, engines pushed harder. Daniel gritted his teeth, weaving through fire. Come on, we can make it. But then the commander's voice echoed through the comms, calm and cruel. You cannot run forever, human. Every system will know you. Every hunter will chase you. You carry a lie the galaxy cannot afford, Daniel shouted back. It's not a lie. The galaxy deserves the truth. Kale's eyes burned brighter, its voice deep and final. Then, we fight. The ship tore through the stars, leaving fire and war behind. Inside, Daniel sat beside Kale, his hands trembling, his chest heavy. The galaxy called it a beast. But now he knew the truth. It was the last of its kind, the last protector, the last friend. And Daniel swore to himself, as long as he breathed, Kale would never be alone. The stars did not shine in peace anymore. They burned with the glow of warships. Daniel sat in the cockpit, eyes wide as he watched the scanners fill with red signals. An Empire fleet stretched across the void. Hundreds of ships, sleek and deadly, waiting like wolves around prey. Kale crouched in the shadows of the ship, its glowing eyes fixed on the sight. its body tense. For days they had run, but now the chase was over. The enemy had come not with hunters, not with scavengers, but with an entire fleet. Daniel's throat went dry. "There's no way out this time," he whispered. Cale's voice rumbled low, heavy with certainty. "Fight." Daniel turned, his hands trembling. "Fight? Cale, we're 2 against thousands. This ship can't even outlast one cruiser." Cale leaned forward, its claws pressing into the metal walls, strange energy spreading through the panels. The ship's lights flared brighter. "Systems stabilizing, shields rising." Daniel stared in disbelief. "You're merging with the ship again." Cale nodded slowly. "Together." The fleet commander's voice cut through the comms, smooth and cruel. "Humans, surrender now. Give us the beast and your death will be quick. Refuse and your suffering will be endless." Daniel clenched his fists, his voice shaking but firm. "We're not surrendering," Cale roared, the sound vibrating through the hull. The fleet moved, weapons glowing, ship shifting into attack formation. Daniel's heart raced, his hands flying across the controls. "If we're doing this, we do it smart." "Cale, hold the ship steady, I'll fly," engines screamed, thrusters flaring as Daniel dove straight toward the enemy line. Laser fire lit the void, red streaks raining down like burning stars. The ship trembled under the storm, shields shattering, but Cale's energy burned brighter. Holding the vessel together, Daniel gritted his teeth, weaving between blasts, skimming past cruisers, firing the few cannons the ship still carried. Explosions ripped through the dark, Empire fighters spiraling into fire. But for every ship they destroyed, 10 more replaced it. Daniel shouted, "We can't keep this up." Cale's eyes blazed, its voice deep. "Not alone." And then something happened. A signal lit the comms, a voice crackling through the static. "To the human traveling with the beast. We have seen what you've done. We believe the truth." Daniel's eyes widened. Who is this?" More voices followed. Rebel signals from across nearby systems. Ships that once hid in fear now flew forward, joining the fight. Old freighters, scavenger craft, pirate vessels, weak alone. But together a storm, the Empire fleet shifted, the commander's calm voice turning sharp with anger. "Destroy them all. Crush the human, crush the beast, and burn every traitor with them." The battle exploded into chaos, space alive with fire and steel. Daniel's small ship danced between giants, Cale's energy shielding them as they struck at weak points. Rebel ships followed, inspired, shouting Daniel's name, shouting Cale's name for the first time. The galaxy saw not a beast, but a warrior fighting beside a human. Daniel's chest burned with hope. But fear still lingered through the smoke of battle. A massive shadow emerged. The commander's flagship, larger than cities, its cannons glowing with deadly power. Daniel whispered. "That's their heart." Cale's claws dug deeper into the walls, its glowing body trembling. "Then we strike." The flagship's super cannon charged, its glow brighter than the stars. One shot could erase them. Erase the rebels, erase Cale. Daniel pushed the engines, his voice a roar. "Hold on!" They dove through the battlefield, weaving past explosions, Cale pouring every drop of energy into the shields. Rebel ships followed, sacrificing themselves, blocking enemy fire, clearing a path. The commander's cold laugh echoed through the comms. "Foolish human. Do you think you can touch me?" Daniel gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. "Not me," he whispered. "Us." Cale's roar filled the ship, energy bursting through every system, the vessel glowing like a star. They shot forward faster than light, crashing through waves of fighters, tearing across the void straight toward the flagship. The super cannon fired, a beam of burning light cutting through space. The ship shook, metal screaming, but Cale's body flared brighter, shielding them with its own life force. Daniel screamed, "Cale, no!" Cale growled, voice breaking. "For truth, for friend." The beam shattered around them, Cale's energy absorbing what the shields could not. The rebels cheered, hope rising, but Daniel's heart broke. Cale was weakening, its body dimming. Still, it pressed forward, refusing to fall. They reached the flagship's hull, weapons blasting, tearing into its core. Explosions rippled across the massive vessel, fire lighting the void. Daniel gasped. "We did it!" But the commander's voice returned, cold and steady even as his ship burned. "You've won nothing, human. The Empire will not stop. And next time you will face our true weapon." The flagship split apart in fire. Drifting into the dark, Daniel sat in silence, his chest heavy. Cale slumped behind him, glowing faint but alive. Rebel ships circled, voices cheering. "The beast fights for us." The human and the beast are one. Daniel turned, staring at Kale, whispering through the smoke. You're not a beast, Kale. You're my friend. Kale's glowing eyes blinked once, slowly, before fading into darkness. And in the silence of the battlefield, Daniel knew the war had only begun. The battlefield drifted in silence, broken ships floating like ghosts in the void. Daniel sat in the cockpit, his hands tight on the controls. His heart heavy, Kale lay behind him, its massive frame dim, its glowing eyes faint. It had given everything to protect them. To protect him, rebel ships circled, cheering, their voices filling the comms. The beast fights for us. The beast is with the human. Daniel turned to Kale, whispering, You hear that? They're starting to believe, Kale groaned weakly, its voice broken but steady. Not beast, Daniel nodded firmly. No, not a beast. A friend, but the moment of hope broke quickly. The stars ahead shifted. Dark shapes forming. An Empire fleet appeared, larger than before and at its heart. A weapon unlike any Daniel had ever seen. It was no ordinary ship, it was a fortress, a weapon so vast it blocked the stars. The rebels fell silent, fear crushing their voices. The commander's voice returned, calm and cruel. You thought you won, human. You thought your pet could save you. Now you face the truth, Daniel gritted his teeth. Kale, we can't fight that. It's too big. Kale's eyes dimmed, but its voice came low. Together, we try, the fortress charged. Its super weapon glowing, brighter than suns. Enough to erase an entire fleet in one strike. Rebels panicked, some turning to flee, others crying out. Daniel slammed his fists on the controls. No! We can't run anymore. If we run, the galaxy dies in fear. We end this now. Kale's claws pressed into the ship's walls. Its body glowing again, energy rushing through the systems. But Daniel saw the truth in its eyes. This would cost Kale everything. Don't, Daniel whispered, his voice breaking. You've already given too much. Kale's voice rumbled, soft but strong. For you. For truth. Worth it. The fortress fired. A beam of pure destruction rushing toward them. Daniel pulled the ship forward, Kale's energy flaring. The shields glowing brighter than ever before, the beam struck, shaking the ship. Tearing metal apart, Daniel screamed, holding the controls. His body shaking from the force, Kale roared, its glowing body burning like a star. Energy pushing back against the weapon. Rebel voices filled the comms, shouting, They're holding it! The human and the beast are holding the weapon. But Daniel knew it was not forever. The ship cracked, alarms blared, Kale's body dimmed, its energy burning away. Daniel turned, tears in his eyes. Kale, you'll die. Kale's eyes softened, glowing faint. Not die. Live. In you. With one final roar, Kale poured all of its power into the ship. The vessel became light itself, streaking forward, cutting through the fortress beam, tearing across the void. Daniel felt Kale's energy inside him, guiding his hands, guiding his heart. He aimed straight for the fortress core. The commander's voice screamed through the comms, Stop them! Stop them now! But it was too late. The ship, glowing like a burning star, crashed into the heart of the fortress. A silence deeper than death filled the void. Then came the explosion, a storm of fire and light stretching across the stars. The fortress shattered, the Empire fleet thrown into chaos, ships breaking, fleeing, burning. The rebels screamed with joy, their voices echoing. The human and the beast. They destroyed the weapon. Daniel's vision blurred, his body weak, his ship torn apart. He whispered into the smoke, Kale. Kale, are you there? But there was no answer, only silence. He closed his eyes, tears sliding down his face. You were never a beast. You were my friend. The rebels found him among the wreckage. Broken but alive, they carried him to safety. Their voices full of respect. From that day, the story spread. The galaxy had called it a beast, but the human called it a friend. And for the first time, others began to believe. They spoke Kale's name not with fear, but with honor, and Daniel, though scarred and grieving, carried Kale's memory like fire in his heart. Wherever he went, he told the truth, that a monster was never a monster, that sometimes the greatest protector was the one the galaxy feared most. And though Kale's body was gone, its spirit lived on, not as a beast but as a friend,